All right, we are back with our next match. It's going to be Winter versus Spyderslayer as you watch the end of their best of 5 at the losers final from last year is where they met. Winter ended up edging out Spyderslayer.
Yep.
And now we have the rematch a year later, so we will see what they can do as we go into Coda is what it's going to be.
And it looks like the lobby's all made up, and just need to get the ready from these players. Another ZVZ. It seems like we've seen a lot of Zerg today.
Yep, indeed, as usual. Wasn't one, it was all Protoss one year though.
Yeah, but not a lot of Terrans this year. So we'll have to see if
that's because Yoshi's not here. It always just seems like more Terran because we just watch. It's like a. I was going to do a sports ball reference, but that's probably not a good idea. It's like a person who he commands so much of your time.
I mean, he's got a very turtly mech play. Unfortunately, he decided to play Smash this year. He said he hasn't been playing a lot of StarCraft recently, and so he decided not to do that tournament, but we'll continue on without him.
And going into our next best of 3 on Coda in the lower right-hand corner, it is our Green Zerg on the stage for the 3rd time today. It is Winter.
And in the top left-hand corner for his 2nd on-screen appearance today at Youmacon, but 3rd consecutive year, it is Spyderslayer.
Man, as I've mentioned a few times, I just love watching these two duke it out. It's kind of been like a David and Goliath type of thing for Spyderslayer. I feel like he's, pretty much his goal every year is to do his best at beating Winter.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone at it so many times, and Spyderslayer's really, tried his best to continue to practice and improve his gameplay and try and take some games off Winter, and he did a much better job last year than the first year, and so we'll see if that trend is continued. Winter obviously seems unfazed by Spyderslayer's desires to take more games off of him, and intends to continue his commanding lead over him.
And Winter definitely comes in with an unrelenting confidence, I'll call it.
Yeah.
That looks like...
that's part of his charm, right?
Maybe a gas trick here coming from Spyderslayer. Not sure what's... Either that or he's just going for gas before pool. Yep, gas before pool. So we're going to be an early Speedlings out of Spyderslayer here. Getting that gas right away so that he will be able to start Metabolic Boost right as it finishes. At the same time, it looks like Winter is going to be putting down his pool as well. Without the gas, though, he's going to probably go for more hatcheries. These two, just seeing them come together, they have such differing strategies sometimes. It's interesting to see how they end up matching up, because sometimes it's very tight, and the micro-intensive ones are definitely the some of the most interesting games we've seen. Spyderslayer's pools here are going to be finishing up as Winter puts down his natural expansion.
Well, we already got a chance to see some of Winter's ZVZ action earlier today, and this is the first we'll see of Spyderslayer's today, so it'll be interesting to see if we see another low-supply slugfest, or if this makes it a little bit more into the mid-game.
Hey, Winter has been very strong today. We actually haven't seen him yet drop a match, even against a couple of the Grandmaster players here. So he's coming in top form for sure. Definitely no one to discount. Last year, he ended up losing in the finals to Desro.
And that, I mean, those games were kind of close. I mean, he put up a fight.
He did.
He put up a fight.
Put up a fight is a word you could say. So hatchery at the natural expansion is going to wrap up here pretty soon. Spyderslayer putting down his. The difference is he's going to have metabolic boost here very quickly as his Zerglings are quickly approaching the natural expansion of Winter. Winter kind of blocking off his ramp here with the Queen as the Queen is wandering down. If he gets too far away there, that could be a bit exposed to some of these Lings coming in. Metabolic boost is still a few seconds away, so he doesn't want to lose too many of those Lings yet. Spinecrawler at the top of his ramp is going to keep the Lings out of the main base. Metabolic boost now 10 seconds out as Spyderslayer wanders pretty far here with one of these Queens to push away this Overlord.
Yeah, I mean, he's really gung-ho on trying to get that. And with the Lings out front, he kind of has a good idea that there's not going to be a whole lot to come and threaten that Queen. Now with speed finished, he's going to try and make his way out.
I thought he had a bit of an opportunity there while the Spinecrawler was rooting to get up and get around those 4 Lings of Winters on the ramp without speed. Would have been pretty good there, but Baneling nests coming out equally timed from each player, so it looks like we may see one of those Baneling, actually Speedling Baneling versus Slowling Baneling, as Winter's metabolic boost is now just beginning to be researched.
Yeah, I mean, if Spyderslayer wants to take full advantage of this metabolic boost advantage that he has right now, he's really got to get some lings out. He's really got to start putting pressure on, but it looks like the tech's going to be equalizing here pretty soon.
It appears that he was doing that more for defense than offense, it seems like, because usually when he does that type of play for offense, he's going to make 10 to 16 lings or something like that and be a bit more committed to it, but this time it looks like he just wanted to be sure that there wasn't too much scouting going on as he's now continuing to expand, make a couple banelings. Winter beginning to move up, although Winter is a little bit ahead here in supply due to the fact that he got that expansion down slightly earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Spyderslayer wanted to try and force a couple of Zerglings, didn't force out too many, and indeed Winter is quite far, well, I was going to say quite far ahead in the drone count, but then Spyderslayer's cooking drones were able to hatch.
Almost baited Spyderslayer into popping one of those banelings on one of those Zerglings coming in, but he quickly grabbed his units and pulled them back. Looks like he canceled something. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
It was a spine crawler.
Okay.
Decided to cancel that as he didn't think he needed all that aggression or defense. More drones coming out. Spyderslayer adding a few Zerglings on as he's gearing up to try and do this defense. And Winter's able to sneak in and get a scout on. Is able to see that it's still on just hatchery. There is no lair just yet, and now trying to take out a couple of drones.
Winter teching here pretty quick. We have seen that in the past, Spyderslayer has been a big fan of the Mutalisks as it gets into the later phases of the game, as he's just now putting down his lair. Would not be surprised to see that now. Winter trying to pop another one of those banelings. Spider control showing some good slaying.
So Winter does have that lair finished now, and he's going to follow that up with Spine Tech immediately, or Spire Tech. And Spyderslayer trying to put down that third. He's trying to get up on bases, but he's really got to try and catch up on this tech here. He's going to be losing the ultimate air battle.
Yeah, he is putting down a lot of gas now. He's starting to mine quite a bit. The gas income is about the same, if not slightly ahead for Spyderslayer. Really, overall, the income is pretty darn identical for both players at 1,200 minerals and about just under 500 gas. So even though they started out a little differently, now Winter putting down his third base, they're staying pretty even here. The tech advantage is definitely Winter's favor because he has teched a little bit quicker, while Spyderslayer's gotten a few more units. Oh, nice baneling pop there on the ramp there by Spyderslayer, keeping that baneling right at the top. And oh, an equally nice baneling pop by Winter in the middle of the map. Really taking down the supply there of both players. They're like, well, so much for those Zerglings.
So Winter's gearing up to make a little bit more aggression happen here. Stops making drones. Well, he's got 4 more in production, but he's moving more towards. He's had the drone lead for most of this game. It's now 51 to 49 with more drones in production.
Very efficient baneling there for Spyderslayer, taking out every single one of the Zerglings that were attacking his expansion there. Spyderslayer is building a Spire of his own now, so we're going to have Spire v Spire here. Although it does look like upgrades for Winter's Mutalisks will be coming out a little bit faster, getting the Carapace upgrade for the flying units. 9 Mutalisks on the way here for Winter, so this is going to be rough for Spyderslayer. He's going to have to get control of this pretty quick. He does not have much air defenses. He only has 1 queen at each base, and he's still building spine crawlers.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's got an idea about the Mutalisks. He just lost an Overlord to a couple of them. They are heading across the map now, but he, he's got Mutalisks of his own coming. There really are no Spore Crawlers on the map for him, though.
Yeah, depending on how these upgrades end up winding out, the Carapace upgrade for Mutalisk is a bit ahead for Winter, so if Winter can push and take advantage of that 20 or so seconds that he has the Carapace upgrade as Spyderslayer's Mutalisk pop out, that will be quite a big deal for him. Spyderslayer is getting really epically supply blocked here by these Mutalisks. He's 80 of 78 as he produces more. Now the Mutalisks coming in, they are going to be completely uncontested here, taking out the queen at the third base. Though Spyderslayer's Mutalisks coming in with 2 queens to support. It looks like he's going to be able to push these away pretty good, but did lose a queen.
and a number of gas drones, so he's got to get workers back in that.
Meanwhile, Spyderslayer has some Lings and Banelings at the expansion of Winter, although I do not believe he lost any drones. 4 have been lost for Spyderslayer. Looking at the unit count, it is 51 drones of Spyderslayer for 60 of Winter, so Winter still a bit ahead in the economy department here, but the Mutalisks are continuing to grow. 4 more in production as the +1 flyer carapace is wrapping up. So this is where Winter really needs to push his advantage.
Yeah, I mean, he just keeps eking out, little pieces of advantage here and there, just a drone here or a drone there, or, a slight poke here, slight poke there, and, he's started to gain a pretty solid lead here. Spyderslayer kind of playing from behind and really hoping to make something happen to even up the score here.
Ooh. Those Spore Crawlers are brutal against these Mutalisks here, but now Spyderslayer's carapace is going to be finishing up in 12 seconds, so Winter's advantage on upgrades is going to be dwindling here pretty quick. +1 attack now coming out for the Mutalisks from Winter, as Spyderslayer building more Mutalisks as well. Oh, one Mutalisk does get caught off guard there for Winter, and the Queen kind of sneaking out here. Now, Spyderslayer will not be caught supply blocked again. He has made a ton of Overlords.
Yeah, Winter really just trying to poke and get whatever he can grab. A drone transferring, an Overlord. Just really trying to look for the weaknesses in Spyderslayer's defense. And I mean, he's really got a decent contain going on here. There's Lings to the right-hand side, sending in continuous Banelings to try and take care of this gas. That one didn't go through because of a Spine Crawler.
Winter way ahead here in the Mutalisk count. It is 19 Mutalisks for Spyderslayer and almost 30 for Winter. Now some Lings coming in trying to take out a Queen. Looks like they might be successful while the Mutalisks are at the third base, taking out Queen after Queen. The Mutalisks of Spyderslayer are torn.
And yeah, Spyderslayer just taking a lot of damage here on 2 fronts, continuing to lose drones. He really needs to keep his drone count even with winners, but he's at a deficit of 13 at the moment.
And look at the income tab. That does translate pretty heavily into about a decent bit more income per winner, and that's going to be more and more Mutalisks.
It shows in the supply as well, but here come the Mutalisks running around, trying to get positioning on the other. It's Winter trying to poke in, and Spyderslayer trying to prevent it.
+1 attack now has finished for Winter, so he is going to have a pretty good advantage here in the Mutalisk versus Mutalisk fight, especially with no Spore Crawlers underneath.
And the numbers of Mutalisks. Oh no, what happened there? So many Mutalisks going down. I mean, there's a huge deficit now. 15 Mutalisks to 32, 33, and this is looking like it's just about over here, folks.
Yeah, man, some Lings came in the main base there of Spyderslayer, and we're able to take out some more things. Spyderslayer saying, YOLO, I'm just going to head across the map and see what I can do. Winter, of course, sensing that, is going to send his Mutalisk back to take out those of Spyderslayer. They're catching some Zerglings on their way over, but now Spyderslayer is going to be completely undefended in his main base as the Mutalisks of Winter are coming back to headbutt them.
Yeah, and he just really can't take that fight. He's got to get away from those Mutalisks, but Winter knows that as well, so he's going to keep heavy on their tail as his massive swarm of Zerglings is running directly into the base to try and do as much damage as possible, and Spyderslayer is going to need a miracle to keep on deck here.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Spyderslayer right now as the Lings are splitting up with the Mutalisks to be able to pull Spyderslayer multiple directions. Third base is now gone due to some Lings of Winter as well. Winter doing a good job of really kind of picking apart Spyderslayer right now.
Yep. Spyderslayer kind of rallying his units, still trying to play defensively, but he's going to have a hard time making a whole lot happen again, trying to move out, and while Winter is dealing with some of these last little bits of larva.
Spyderslayer once again heading across the map to see what he can do. Cut off some of the reinforcements of Winter as there's going to be Zerglings headed across. Neither pack of Zerglings cares for a fight right now. Just running right on past the Mutalisks of Spyderslayer going for the main base, while the Zerglings of Spyderslayer are in the third base, taking out that Spine Crawler, now going after the drones. Now it is Winter that is coming back with his Mutalisks to be able to defend while sending the Zerglings into the undefended base of Spyderslayer.
Yeah, I think Spyderslayer is trying to look for another base with those Mutalisks floating around, but he's got a lot of Lings in his base that he's got to contend with. Oh, he does manage to surround a lot of these Zerglings from Winter, but still taking losses. I mean, more drones are forced to be pulled and moved, and
And there's still a lot of lings here in the main base, and losing 8 more drones.
I mean, the supply really is telling the story here too. You know, Winter's kind of doubling Spyderslayers at the moment. More drones being lost. I mean, the drone count is 55 to 33, and Winter's on 4 base compared to Spyderslayer's 2. Spyderslayer, I think, is really just trying to make something happen. I don't know if he's got to know that he's really far behind.
Yeah, there's nothing he can really do at this point. I think he's just trying to feel out his opponent, maybe even do some reconnaissance for the next match. But the Needless of Spyderslayer taking out the 4th base here of Winter while he's going to bring back Needless to take those out. Spyderslayer making 10 more mutas here, while Winter is making a few as well, but the Lings of Winter now coming up into the natural expansion. Still nothing here to defend, so they're going to have pretty much free reign.
Yeah, I think Spyderslayer's trying to come up with some tech advantage somehow, somewhere. But I mean, his Mutalist game is just, he's down.
The Mutalist count is now 30 to 50. I mean, it does work out pretty well to pick a fight right over a Spore Crawler. That does tend to narrow the advantage a little bit.
When you have 50 Mutalisks, you can kind of just one-shot volley those things.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's what he's going to do. He's just going to run through and just tear apart a lot of this infrastructure, really trying to force Spyderslayer out of the game.
Yep, GG will be forthcoming here fairly quickly, I do believe, as Spyderslayer is continuing to hang in.
He doesn't have a, I mean, he really doesn't have a whole lot other than his Spire at the moment, trying to rebuild his spawning pool to be able to continue to make Lings. He is on 2-2 for Lings compared to the 0-0.
Here's the bloody Muta battle we've been expecting all along.
Yeah.
There are Zerglings here at the front, taking out the Zerglings of Spyderslayer, as Spyderslayer continues to just keep trying to poke here. And there's the GG. Whew.
So really trying to make something. I mean, it seemed like he was trying to transition into Zerglings with upgrades and make a huge ground force, but he was just so far behind in the economy that it really made it impossible to get that foothold that he was looking for.
Yeah, you can tell that, I mean, it's a slippery slope too, because, I mean, it really came down to the fact that I think Spyderslayer went for the early Ling speed, and he didn't really need to use it for defense, and he didn't really get anything offensively done with it. And from that point on, Winter was 2 drones ahead. Then he was 5 drones ahead. Then he was 5 Mutalists ahead. And that, I mean, unless you just come across a really bad positioning, you're not gonna. It's gonna be hard to come back from. And neither player transitioned into anything else.
That's true. But I mean, Winter didn't really need to. He, I mean, he kind of had the advantage that he eked out in each engagement, and so he was able to press that. He was able to kind of control the game and control the map.
Yep, so we're going to be going into map number 2, which is going to be Terraform, which these players were so kind to give me their map choices before the match, so we can make these pretty quickly here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are at Youmacon in Detroit, Michigan. This is our 3rd year.
Yeah. 3rd year here, and happy to be back. And you know, it's been fun to watch the conference and the game room specifically grow over the years. It seems like their budget's getting bigger. The amount that they have to offer this year is a lot bigger than it has been in years past, and the tournaments are growing as well. Ours is one of those. The talent pool that has decided to show up from all over the country, you know, has really shown that they're the level of growth. You know, like that people are learning about the tournament. They're learning that it's a good time and a good prize pool. So folks are coming out to try and get their share of it.
Yeah, it certainly helps that we have partners to work with like Mythologic who continue to increase the amount that they are supporting the event year to year, putting up extra money. I mean, really, that, you know, people are going to start driving 10, 12, 14 hours to come to a tournament that has the potential where you could walk away with $400 or $500.
Yeah, and I mean, even for the local players who want